Welcome to Free Media. I'm Robby Soave.
And I'm Amber Duke. President Trump announced that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is ready to negotiate peace talks as his country continues its war with Russia. Let's watch.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
This comes after the highly contentious encounter between Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Zelensky. Let's watch a little refresher of how that all went down.
He broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, J.D., you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
During the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Now, the situation is quickly developing, but as of this recording, Amber, what did you make of it?
At first, I thought that Zelensky was coming crawling back after Trump booted him out of the White House, but now we're getting mixed signals that he's not prepared to negotiate with Russia, so I don't know what's going to happen. This guy is sort of a loose cannon at this point. It's obviously wild that they are in effectively a stalemate. Ukraine can't win the war. That's agreed on by pretty much every military expert that we've talked to. We interviewed Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis this past Friday on Rising, and he was pretty clear about Ukraine's prospects. They're not good.
He's been saying that from the start, and
I know.
Guess what? He was right.
Exactly. He was correct.
Amazing.
And especially without U.S. funding intelligence support, which they've now cut off after Zelensky has expressed an unwillingness to negotiate peace. But this could have been an easy win for Ukraine. He could have signed the minerals deal with Scott Bessent, but he wanted to come to the White House. And then I don't know who advised him it was a good idea to try to put on a show in front of the American media sitting next to Trump and J.D. Vance. But that was obviously a huge mistake. The White House was furious. Trump kicked him out. And even if they sign the minerals deal at this point, the idea that he's going to be able to leverage this into additional security guarantees, I think is pretty dead in the water.
Which kind of sounds fine to me, because
Right.
I don't know what sort of security.
I know.
Look, all I want is I want an end to
From
the
a
fighting.
future invasion, I
Yes.
guess is what he wanted.
I want
but-
no, and which I want. I mean, but it needs to involve conversation with Russia too.
Correct.
We need to just have a resetting and we want peace. We want. I mean, we don't want to be committed to defending a country that is actually going to come under attack. Now, we don't also want to give permission to Russia to just conquer the rest of Ukraine. Then what was any of this for? We don't want Russia to slowly march across all of Europe. No, obviously not. That said, we don't want to be embroiled in other people's conflicts that are not really our area of expertise or concern. I'll note that European bureaucrats, who I am so fed up with at this point, Europe has spent some billions of dollars, certainly, on aid to Ukraine. They're still quite addicted to Russian gas and oil, something Trump's been warning them about forever. But look, I don't care. There is, I think, some on the right shifting the blame. It's not Zelensky or Ukraine's fault that they got invaded. I don't really care what outfit he wears to the White House. I don't care about that at all. And I actually find it refreshing when politicians who disagree with each other actually do so in the public eye instead of having some fake press conference where they've already worked out the agreements or whatever. They actually had the argument in front of all of us. It's kind of refreshing from a freedom of the press perspective. They weren't quite ready for a deal, and so we left. And I hope he changes his mind, and we get clarity on what sort of protection they're going to need. I don't want to embroil Americans in some mineral dig that then they're gonna, if they get attacked by Russia, then we will be in World War III. I mean, this is the problem with having bases and U.S. military members all over Africa and the Middle East in areas where we don't really have a legitimate defense reason to be there, but the country is unstable. So what if the base comes under attack, and then all of a sudden we will feel pressured to respond at that point? We can just avoid that situation by not being there. So I wonder if this is going to be along those same lines.
Yeah, and I just think it's crazy going back to the posture that Zelensky had during this meeting. Like, you're allowed to have disagreements and criticize. But after the U.S. has given you, $200 billion, and the only reason your country still exists is thanks to us, and you come in, you're slouched down in your chair, you've got your arms crossed, you're immediately interrupting the president and the vice president. You refer to the vice president as his first name. JD, what kind of negotiations are you talking about? And then start trying to get in a tit for tat with them as they finally call you out on your BS. Like, who do you think you are? Honestly, how dare you? I thought that was hugely insulting, not just to the people sitting in that Oval Office, but to the American people who, whether willingly or not, have given a lot of their taxpayer money to helping some far-off country that they don't care about.
Yeah, I know a lot of people on the right felt that way. I didn't feel the insult or whatever. I don't care about that. But it was just, from a Zelensky's perspective, from the Ukrainian perspective, that was just not a smart course of action to work out the deal they need. And then I do start to wonder about Zelensky's own personal motivations. Again, I don't find him to be some uniquely reprehensible character, and I'm under no illusions about Putin being an authoritarian, but also, the reality is they can't continue to defend their country without our support. And they're losing thousands and thousands of people. I tend to agree with Trump in the way he is phrasing it in terms of it being a losing hand.
Right,
those
you don't
kinds
have
of
the
metaphors.
cards.
And he didn't mean that in like a downplaying the seriousness of the conflict. He was just using a metaphor. We need to have peace. That is the bottom line. That sounds like what Trump wants. And honestly, that sounds like some of the time it sounds like what Zelensky wants. I don't know if he thinks that it's better to hold out for a Hail Mary and he'd rather somehow magically take, I guess Putin could drop dead tomorrow and different leadership and something could happen very unlikely, but maybe that's what he's counting on. But that doesn't seem like a good strategy. It seems like a better strategy to listen to what now even the military experts are saying, which is at best they can wage a defensive effort to slow down the Russian acquisition of more territory. They could be forced to live with even a smaller Ukraine if this goes on. I don't know why they don't contemplate that more often.
Probably already have, smaller than what it is now, because they're probably going to have to cede territory. And what he needs to realize is that the longer this goes on, actually the worse the conditions for your peace settlement get. Because there was a potential peace deal early on in the summer of 2021, when this started, that the UK Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, reportedly scuttled those talks between Russia and Ukraine. At that point, Ukraine could have had all of its territory. They could have had probably, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives saved.
Yes.
And they could have had some kind of agreement to prevent Russia from invading again. Would Russia have abided by it? Zelensky's right. We don't know that because Putin kind of does what he wants. But it's a hell of a lot better than what we're looking at now, 3 years later, where they're losing more territory. They have decimated their population to the point that they are doing forced conscriptions of elderly people, people with developmental disabilities. I mean, you just can't compare the two situations. The longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah, and I actually hate that idea. Well, how can we trust Putin to abide by... Trump was right about when he said, okay, well, what if a bomb drops on your head? sure, we could always make an agreement with whoever it is, and they could violate it. Yes, that is technically true. What is the implication of that? Whether we should sign no treaties, make no agreements with any other leader?
That's how foreign policy works, is you're taking the risk.
You're trying to lower the likelihood of them doing something we don't want by making some agreement. Of course they could violate it, and we should take that concern seriously and prepare accordingly. But then that would just mean we would not make any agreements with anyone, or what then you are trying to say we need to just fight them militarily, we need to defeat them, we need to have World War III. There is no public appetite for that. That is the other thing. In this country, the desire for more serious military intervention and engagement is low. People are very sympathetic to what Ukraine has gone through, but wanting an end to this war is increasing in terms of public awareness, and the media always misses that because the media is reflexively more just interested in foreign policy, frankly, than the people, more interventionist by inclination. They all think this is what is going to doom the Trump administration, the weakness he is showing on the Ukraine issue. That is not, I do think there are ways the Trump administration could go awry. We're going to talk about those in a minute. It's not going to be because they thought he was unpresidential in a meeting with Zelensky. A lot of people think the opposite.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't, it's not their top, they have 10 other issues on their mind, they all relate to the economy, it's not this.
And in addition to the strategic argument, I mean, I think morally, again, arguing against World War III, you're on the right side of things.
Yes, that's how the people feel.
And I actually think that it takes a lot of strength in this situation to acknowledge the reality of the situation and look for your best option out than trying to take this sort of grandiose stand of, well, we're the good guys, so we've got to keep fighting. Like, actually, no, it takes a good leader to be able to say when things are lost.
We will not negotiate with Putin, and Ukraine can have whatever they want. There was an ease in doing that, which Biden did for 4 years and got us absolutely nowhere.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching Free Media. Stick around, because we'll have more right after this.